Hello again, it's Joey John Maguire. I'm in my favourite local watering hole, my favourite at the moment, changes from time to time, but will always be one of my favourites. It's the Cock Tavern, where I've been coming for the last 6 to 8 months, which is a Young's pub, and it's a fine Young's pub. They all are, aren't they? All over the country. This one's a retro style pub, but in an old building, and the actual bar itself, the bar and restaurant area, lead onto a wonderful sun trap for a garden, which is also in retro style. It's only me and the assistant manager, Keith, my friend from Canada, who doesn't know, he's just realising, because I introduced him earlier, and that I've had to start again because I wrecked up my first attempt. And now he knows why he's just heard his name mentioned again. Anyway, that's Keith from Canada. I won't say his last name in case anyone's looking for him. Anyway, we've got the pub to ourselves at the moment, so we'll get on with this. I'm about to recite my latest poem. Before I do, I'll show you one of my t-shirts. I design my own t-shirts. You see, this one is called This Tale I Tell. It's a poem and a book, one of my books, front cover of my books, done by an artist called, I'm trying to think of his first name, Mr. Burt anyway, and Barry Burt, that's his name. And if you look on the headstone, you will see that it's a premonition of my death, and it's an ode through the skeleton atmosphere and the threat of death and the premonition to teetotaling, tongue-in-cheek, because I'm still at it. Though I'm not an alcoholic, I may add. I am diagnosed by psychiatrists as a social drinker, whatever that means. I'm in the Cock Tavern, a wonderful retro pub, bottom end of North End Road. It's a stone's throw away from Chelsea Football Ground and Fulham Broadway Underground Station. It's beautifully run, well managed, has the most friendly staff. It's a retro pub, restaurant, and as you go through the restaurant area, you approach what I can only describe as a to die for sun trap for a garden when we get a summer. And so far we've had 2 days of sunshine. Keith's saying yes, and it looks like we've got storms on the way. There's definitely thunderclouds in the air, you know. Anyway, I'm about to recite my latest poem, done in the early hours of this morning as I am somewhat nocturnal. It's called An Immaculate Conception. It's so difficult to explain to those who sit in bureaucratic officialdom that I am not who they say I am, for that person has been a long time dead and is now referred to by another name. He was for a time, meaning that, yes, he did exist, but is now and otherwise known as. Many an incredulous eyebrow has been raised in challenging, mocking disbelief, but a man is who he wants to be and who he says he is by human right, and no individual nor any system nor brushstroke of a pen should think to take that away. Poor indoctrinated unfortunates, their brains lacking the perception required, sending false signals in all directions, for it is beyond their human comprehension to accept anything out of the norm, meaning it's hard to think outside the box when they spend all day ticking on the inside. To ask them to take on board that what they see is a reincarnation of my former self is beyond too much. I am, in fact, an Immaculate Conception. Born of the violent hatred of others, my new identity forced upon me by the unexplainable horror of hardship. I have become the yin and yang of life itself, I am a universal soldier who became lost as I was shot down mid-flight on my journey through eternity. An error of judgment, what I refer to now as a very unfortunate mishap, to avoid embarrassment. I find myself ruminating in dry dock, finding it most difficult to acquire the essential repairs that will allow me to continue on my travels. It seems that on Earth nothing comes free, and shot-down spaceships and their pilots have no intrinsic value, deeming me worthless. I do, however, serve as a lesson to you all, for which there is no charge. I merely ask for help to send me on my way, a small amount of human compassion to keep my dignity intact, just enough to restart my failing engines. Not a lot to ask, I would have thought, so you can be rid of me once and for all, as I simply fly away. Well, that was quite hard to do, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm tired.